we were discussing about different industries. We have covered iron and steel industry, which is the basic industry of almost all the industries, as it is providing machineries for the other industries. And then we have gone through petrochemical industry, then the cotton industry. So one more industry is left, that is electronic industry. As far as this electronic industry is considered, ये तो ऐसा है, we have in day-to-day life most of the things that we are using, from the mobile phone to the headphone to the TV, वो सब चीज में recently जो new generation हम लोग जो use कर देगा, so almost we are depending on this electronic industries. The early stages, it was like that. The use of electronic materials is comparatively lesser. But the changes happened in communication industry may change over here. So that is mainly because of this electronic industries. Many items that we are using is mainly this electronics. So when we say about electronic industry, electronic industry is made up of companies that designs, manufacture, assemble, and provide service to electronic products. So electronic products है, for example, TV, smartphones, computers, ये सब चीज इसके अंदर आ जाएगा. तो ये जो चीज बनाने, डिजाइन करने के लिए, नहीं ये तो मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए, नहीं तो इसका assemblage, because one electronic equipment like computer consists of multiple. Hello. So one electronic equipment maybe sometimes consists of multiple electronic materials. So it should be assembled like our computer. So computer में monitor है, that is an electronic equipment है, CPU है, UPS है, इसका mouse है, जो भी हो, it's multiple equipments. तो उसको तो assemble करना है. And the after sale services be provided. So all these consist of the electronic industries. The product consists of materials, parts or spare parts. It's got different components, then sub-assemblies and equipments. That is used for the principle of electronics to perform their major function. Just I said, computer के लिए इतना सा spare parts है, इसका इतना components है, इसको तो assemble करना है, then only we can work. ऐसा कंप्यूटर में वर्क कर सकता है. The product can range from discrete components like integrated circuit, so from the smallest one to the biggest one, circuit to TV to smartphones, then personal computers, then medical equipments, heart rate monitor, dialysis करने का जो है, then robots, ऐसा multiple बहुत कुछ चीज है that comes under the scope of electronics. But if you look 100 years पहले, it was this electronic medium is mostly unknown to all of us. अभी उसी time में कुछ भी almost 1 to 2% ही होगा this electronic is remaining. It has been evolved recently, but it has lot of use right now in the automobile industries, aviation industries, telecommunication में सबसे ज़्यादा, then defense में ज़्यादा है, entertainment के लिए we are using, healthcare के लिए using, so multiple areas में right now we are using this electronic industries. So when we go back to the history of electronics, especially in India. As I said, if you look back 100 years ago, 100 years, we are nowhere aware of the electronics. So when it's become introduced in India, it came into available in India during 1960s. Indian electronic industries dates back early to 1960s में सबसे ज़्यादा. So after independence में ये जो आया है. उसी time it was limited, that we know, limited to the development and maintenance of fundamental communication system. So in the name of communication system we have, तो रेडियो था, उसके बाद टीवी आ गया है, टेलीफोन नहीं है, टेलीफोन्स होगा, टेलीग्राफ्स होगा, ये सब चीज है. So these are the primary electronic mediums that we have used. Until 1984, the electronic industry was primarily under the control of government के हाथ में था. Until 1984. During 1980s, what happened is government has given some relaxed policies, liberalized policies. So that helped private participation in electronic industries. वो भी लेके आया है. Because in the early time, the development was restricted because it was only under the government or the public sector के नीचे था. But later in 1980s, it was moved to private sector as well. Why? Because we have introduced liberalization, globalization, and other economic reforms during the end of 1980s and the starting of 1990s. In 1990s, what happened? We know that we have adopted this globalization, privatization, liberalization. So we have the private investment in India. It includes both foreign and the domestic investment. So ये दोनों encourage किया है. So it was a dynamic change that happens during 1990s. So 60s से शुरू हुआ है till for the 20 years it was purely under the control of government of India का नीचे था. But after 1980s, the concept has changed. Private people also started in the investing in the electronic industries, especially during 1990s. After we adopt globalization, privatization, and liberalization policies, investment, foreign direct investment also we have adopted. इसके वजह से there was immense growth. Government has made different policies which support the domestic and foreign electronic industries. Indian electronic companies had majority benefit from economic liberalization policies during 1980s, including loosening of restrictions on technology and component imports. So import facilities को liberalize कर दिया है, loosen कर दिया है, and delicensing, then support foreign investment and reduction of excise duty. So बहुत कुछ चीज. Because if you look, when we discuss after later, we will come to the point that ऐसा था, our electronic industry is mostly depending on import. तो जो छोटा chipset है, ये सब we are mostly collecting from बाहर से collect करना था. So chipset means the size of the electronic components will become less. Size कम करने के लिए. So still we are depending on import. Import को depend कर रहे India में. But in the early stage, we are nowhere. We are indigenously producing the chipsets, processor, everything we are indigenously also producing. Still we are depending. But in the early stages, see the condition is entirely different, where we have to depend on the imports. So at that time, government released or loosened the restriction, which make a dynamic change in the evolution of or introduction of electronic industries. So output from electronic industry plants grew from 1.8 billion during 1970s to 8.1 billion in the financial 1990s. And if you look 1992, it has reached to 123 billion in the financial year 1922. So see the changes within 30 years, 20 years. 1970 में 1.8 billion था, and during 1980s it became 8.1 billion. But due to the liberalized policies of the government, the electronic industries has changed or moved a great height. It has reached 123 billion in 1992. In 1990s, the electronic production include 5 million sets of televisions, 6 million sets of radio, 5 million tape recorders, then 5 million electronic watches, 1,40,000 video cassette records. The Indian engineers sector is a large, and so उसी time से we have of growth of 12, उतना ज्यादा export में 12% का growth export में हो गया, because we have this much of production during 1990s, and this 12% has increased. Output has increased to 13.6% during 2010. उतना ज्यादा output में हमारा production बढ़ गया है. There are so ये 2 decades from 1970s to 1990s, there was immense change that we have faced. So primary, they have the primary bean production dominating across technologies, format and design. Then what happened? So was a primary production method. Then evolution of retail environment, that also helped. Retail पहले तो ऐसा था, wholesale आया था 6 million 5 million ऐसा था, तो retail environment को भी ज्यादा. अभी that is why अभी टीवी है, सब कुछ अभी हमारा दुकान, छोटा दुकान में मिलता है, छोटा दुकान में भी we are getting mobile phones ये सब. And we have e-commerce facilities right now. So e-commerce facility, I want to purchase something. I am sitting in front of a mobile or a computer, and I am अभी Amazon use करेगा, Flipkart use करेगा, ऐसे e-commerce platform use करके now I can buy the products. So that made the market accessible easily. Accessibility is कर दिया है. कुछ चीज हमको चाहिए, कुछ मोबाइल फोन चाहिए, I don't want to go for the shop. I will get that from my home itself. Another important landmark is the Digital India program. Right now we are having this Digital India. तो सब कुछ digital बना रहा है. अभी शॉप में गया है, I want to pay. So क्या करेगा? I will use some of my payment app and I will use my telephone to pay. बैंक से direct digital money transfer होगा. No need of currencies. So that is Digital India program. That much of development due to this electron. Specific to the electronic sector, several policies like Make in India, National Policy of Electronics, Net Zero Import in Electronics, Zero Defect, Zero Effect, तो ऐसा बहुत कुछ policies government has adopted. So this is how the electronic industry is being evolved. So in 1916 में शुरुआत किया है, 1970s में इसका स्टार्टअप हुआ है, एंड मेजर चेंज कब हुआ है? 1980s में. क्या कर दिया? उसी टाइम प्राइवेट को भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंडस्ट्री में लेके आया है. एंड इन 1990s ड्यू टू प्राइवेटाइज ग्लोबलाइजेशन, ये सब के वजह से बहुत ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन और आउटपुट लेने का we have able to achieve बहुत ज़्यादा output this electronic industry से. And later वो क्या हुआ है, उधर से export भी बढ़ गया है. up to 12% था, फिर output तो 13.6% हो गया है. Then the major change is retail market and e-commerce को लेके आए. तो retail market तो market भी बढ़ गया है electronic industry, तो consumption भी ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है. And now for supporting this, we have Digital India program, we have Make in India, and multiple national policies to support this electronic industries. So that is how the evolution or the history of electronic industry in India. Now, what happened? What is right now the Indian electronic industry? So Indian domestic electronic industries production already increased from rupees 2,300 billion. Earlier it was 123 tha. Abhi 2,300 during 2042, 5,350 billion during 2020. तो उतना domestic production बढ़ गया है. From in the initial state during 1970s, it was only 1.3, 1.7. उतना percentage था, only 1%. 1 billion था. Now it is almost 5,000 billion हो गया है. तो उतना. minute. So India's domestic electronics has increased. क्या हो गया? 29 billion. तो domestic production of electronic price में billion ये डॉलर में देखने से 29 billion to 67 billion हो गया. And what the difference? Indian production में Indian domestic production में सबसे ज़्यादा है assembly unit, assembling unit है. जैसे बाहर से import होंगे, as I said, we are mostly depending on अभी import में depend है, जो छोटा electronic चीजें है from the chipset. Even though we are producing chipset है, processor है, all these things we are importing. So ये सब assemble करेगा इंडिया में and we will export. But due to the same, क्या होता है? हमारा जो production, जो produce होता है, जो बनाता है and जो profit मिलता है, and 80% of the profit is moving to other countries in the name of import. Import करना पड़ता है. That is being electronic device industries cover ऐसा 180 billion 2020 में इसमें तो production है. Out of this 24% is mobile phone, then consumer electronics 22%, strategic electronics 12%, computer hardware 7%, LEDs 2%, and industrial electronics 34%. And remain by industrial electronics comprising of auto, medical, and other industrial electronic products. वो ऐसा है, अभी हमारा कार है तो कार के अंदर डिस्प्ले चाहिए, नहीं तो ऐसा मल्टीपल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक चीज चाहिए. दैट कंप्रेसिंग ऑफ दिस इंडस्ट्रियल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स. देन मेडिकल में जैसे एक्सरे मशीन, स्कैनिंग मशीन, ये सब चीज, all these are electronics and it is connecting to the computer as well. So all this comes under this industrial electronics. So ऐसा है हमारा production. If you look at this picture, you can understand which are the states. ऐसा नहीं है it is being concentrated in this particular area. ऐसा नहीं है because we have a huge market in India and we are producing our production उतना ज़्यादा years back नहीं है. It has mostly started only 20 to 30 years से पहले से we have started exploring in electronics industry and the major states include अभी production में you can look at this areas. तो इसमें होगा केरला, this brown color का है ना, ये सब तेलंगाना, तेलंगाना हैदराबाद वो सब रीजन है. Sorry, ये सब regions compared to this, we have production in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and in northern region Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand and Delhi National Capital Territory regions and in West Bengal. So maximum we have the electrical and electronic industries you can see in these countries. And if you look the production, we have many areas where you can locate the electronic industries. Adityapur Industrial Development Area in Jharkhand, if you look, you can see. Then West Bengal Electronic Industry Development Corporation, West Bengal में. Then Odisha Industrial Development Corporation, Odisha में. Chhattisgarh State Industrial Development in Chhattisgarh region में. Elsina Raga Mayuri Electronic Park City, Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh में ये है. And on the other side, it is Elsina Electronics Manufacturing Cluster in Rajasthan, Mudra Solar Techno Park in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh State Electronics Development in Madhya Pradesh, then Department of Information Technology in Goa, Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation in, right now it is Telangana, and Kerala Industrial Infrastructure Development. So we have multiple industrial locations which produces electronic products in India. So this is how it is being distributed. And when you look at the import and export, if you look, this is export hai, and this is ye blue color wala hai, that is export hai, and this green color is actually the import, and this light green shows the production. If you look at this, always we have imports. Export से ज़्यादा बहुत difference है import में. जो भी हो, we have maximum import है. But on the other side, if you look the production, we can see these green colors. So you can see production is high because we are maximum concentrate in the assembling unit. Assembling unit है. So maximum imports लेके आएगा, and we will assemble that from India, and we will produce the final output. So production ज़्यादा है. But if you look the comparison, so इतना ज़्यादा we are export, इतना ज़्यादा export है. So we want to pay this much for export. Sorry, this much for import. इतना ज़्यादा import है. We want to pay for that. Only this much of production profit we are getting. That is the difference. And where we are exporting maximum our product, so our export is always less. If you look at this, you can see export is always, so $6 billion US, 5 billion, 6 billion, and right 8 billion ऐसा bulk export तो बहुत कम है. Anyway, we are sending that to multiple countries. 49 to almost 50% तो ऐसा है, छोटा countries में distribute है, 1%, 2% बोल के ऐसा distribute. So the dominating countries include, first one is the US, that is about 18%. Electronic equipment which is being produced in India is being sent into United States of America, which is being followed by UAE, United Arab Emirates, that is 16.6%. Then to China, 7.6%. Then Netherlands, 4.5%, and Germany, 4.2%. So ऐसा है हमारा distribution. So this is how our export works. So maximum सबसे ज़्यादा हो रहा है United States में, then is followed by UAE, then China, Netherlands, Germany, and other countries. That's about the distribution, export distribution of India to other countries. Now we can look what are the major electronic segments that is being manufactured, or most of what we are dealing with. We can't say it is purely manufacturing. Sometimes we are exporting or importing as well. So what are the key segments? It includes semiconductors supply and manufacturing services. So semiconductors, if you look, these are semiconductors. If you take computer or TV or you can see multiple chipset ke andar, so there is semiconductors devices. So that is one of the key segment which is being used in India. Then industrial equipments. Industrial equipment wo kya cheez hai? We have already told you. We have already discussed. Then networking and communication equipment. So in India, we know how much we are depending on this networking and communication equipment. How in a single house we will have minimum 3 to 4 mobile phones. That shows the usage of electronics in our home. Then computer and office products. So computer ke saath we have the printers, we have the plotters, we have the scanners, everything. So that includes the office product. So India has a big market for this computer and office products. Then the medical devices. So what are these medical devices? So that is being used in the medical industries. Like when we go to the hospital, they will scan us, they will take x-rays, they will MRI scan, CT scan. So there are multiple. Then heart rate calculator hai, measurement tools hai, then oximeters hai. There are multiple medical devices which is being used. Then consumer electronics and home appliances like TV, washing machine, fridges, years of electronic devices. So these are some of the key segments which is being used, and we have most customers in India. And now we can look at what are the favorable conditions for the electronics industries in India. It includes the economic growth. India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, with GDP expected to grow constantly. So still we are, even though we have faced corona period, still our GDP is in a progressive stage. So I am not saying about this last 2 years, it's saying about 2-3 decades ke bare mein we are discussing about. So India is fastest growing economy hai. So growing economic activity and deploying of latest automatic technologies across different sectors have positively influenced and demanded the industrial and strategic electronic domains. So aisa hai, we have growing economy hai. So economic grow ho raha hai. So people have the purchasing power and people have the technology. बहुत ज़्यादा technologies चाहिए, more comfort चाहिए, more. We are more and more depending on these technologies. तो एक जगह से दूसरे जगह पे communicate करना है, we will use mobile phones. नहीं है तो अभी कहीं पे जाना है, गाड़ी के अंदर we need sometimes music सुनना है तो music system चाहिए. नहीं है तो वीडियो देखना है तो वीडियो एंड्रॉइड प्ले सिस्टम चाहिए. तो ऐसा बहुत कुछ चीज हमको अदर देन आवर बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स we are demanding for that, because our economy is growing and we have the purchasing power. Then rapid urbanization and income growth. Same सर, urbanization increase हुआ है, हाथ में पैसा भी बढ़ गया है. So our demand is not for the basic infrastructure, but for facilities. More and more facilities हमको चाहिए. Phones, tablets, computers, laptops, ये सब चीज. Then the government initiatives. तो पहले दोनों था, ऐसा था, they have the consumers. India में बहुत ज़्यादा consumers है for purchasing electronic products. So that is one of the favorable condition. तो एक जगह में ऐसा है, सबसे consume करने के लिए लोग है, तो market भी ऐसा बढ़ जाएगा. And another one is the government initiatives. So we have multiple policies, Digital India policies, Make in India policies. So that will attract the foreign direct investment to India. तो ऐसा होने से क्या होगा, there is lot of money or the capital in the electronic industry, so it can grow. Capital invest क्यों होता है? Because we have the consumers, we have a high big market in India. So government initiatives to attract FDI, foreign direct investment, and the domestic investment is there. So these are some of the favorable conditions for the growth of electronic industries in India. Then we have some challenges as well. I'm saying about the Indian context. It can be applied to the world itself. So first one is a complex value chain. The electronic industry is constantly changing due to disruptive innovations. तो ऐसा है इसी एरिया पे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंडस्ट्रीज में चैलेंजेस बहुत है, चैलेंज कंपटीशन बहुत है। तो कंपटीशन बहुत है तो इनोवेशन टेक्नोलॉजीज भी बहुत ज्यादा इनपुट देगा। क्योंकि मेरा एक फोन है तो दैट इज 3G था, बट द टेक्नोलॉजी कंपटीशन 3G फोन में बहुत हो गया, तो दे आर थिंकिंग अबाउट 4G, तो और अच्छा फोन आ गया। तो विद इन सम few years or within few limited time टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ गया 5G मिल जाएगा, देन वी विल मूव टू 6G। ऐसा मेरा फोन में 12 मेगापिक्सल है, दूसरे का फोन में 48 मेगापिक्सल है, सो आई कैन एक्सेप्ट इट। सो देयर इज वैल्यू चेन, तो कौन सी प्राइस में क्या देना है, ये बहुत कंफ्यूज हो रहा है। दैट इज वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट चैलेंजेस। देन कैपिटल इंटेंसिव इंडस्ट्री विद inadequate raw material availability. Capital, foreign direct investment, yes, we have and we have a market in India, but our major problem is we don't have adequate raw materials. We are depending mostly on import के लिए we are depending on. जब तक import होगा and we have the export, we have the production, it's based on import ज्यादा है तो we have प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा है। वी आर नॉट डिपेंडिंग ऑन एक्सपोर्ट, इसमें से कुछ भी रिलेशन नहीं है, ऐसा हो गया है। सो इट शुड बी एडिक्वेट रॉ मटेरियल इंडिया में होने से दैट विल बी मच बेटर। देन सस्टेनेबिलिटी, emerging regulation and stands for clean and greener technology are forcing companies to become accountable for manufacturing process as well as final product. So ऐसा है, अभी मोबाइल फोन बना है तो there are some rules, ट्राई ने कुछ रूल्स बना किया, तो your radiation limit should be this much, इससे ज्यादा होने से I will fine, your tariff rate should be this much, because that is for sustainability, for green environment. अभी बहुत कुछ insects है that is being affected by the radiation, तो radiation को एक लिमिट दिया है, उसके ज्यादा your tower can't be given that much limitation for the radiation, ऐसा restriction देता है. So that is a challenge for the producers. Then another bigger problem is the e-waste. E-waste में India ranks 5th globally regarding the e-waste production में India ranks 5th है. तो जो कंप्यूटर हम यूज किया है and disposing here, where it is being disposing, it consists of lot of ingredient components which is harmful for the soil, harmful for the organisms, ऐसा है, बहुत कुछ है इसके अंदर, and the remaining are plastics. So where to dispose all this? ऐसा है, कुछ लोग ऐसा करेगा, ये पूरा उड़ा के they will dump that to sea, but one day it will come back to the land. तो क्या करेगा, लैंड फिलिंग में यूज करता है तो कुछ तो रिसाइकल में जाएगा. सो इट्स अ बिग हेडेक फॉर ऑलमोस्ट ऑल दी गवर्नमेंट्स. ई वेस्ट, इसका मैनेजमेंट बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. देन as I said, dependency on import. इंपोर्ट में मोर डिपेंड है तो प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा होने से भी फायदा नहीं है, वो पैसा बाहर वी वांट टू गिव बैक द नेम ऑफ इम्पोर्ट. जो चीज है उसका तो पैसा देके वी आर मिसिंग इट. इट मीन्स द लोकल वैल्यू एडिशन अकाउंट्स फॉर लोकल. अभी इंडिया में प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है लेकिन पूरा पैसा इंडिया को नहीं मिल रहा है, जहां से इंपोर्ट आ रहा है उसी कंट्री को भी देना पड़ता है. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing in electronic industries. A complex value chain है, capital intensive होने से भी inadequate raw material है, then sustainability, government sustainable policies making some issue problems, then e-waste management and dependency on import. Now some government initiatives. First one is production linked incentive scheme. For large scale electronics manufacturing proposes a financial incentive to boost. तो ऐसा है incentive देगा large scale electronics चीज को जो कंटिन्यू बनाता है and digital in India process, sorry make in India process. तो इंडिया में आकर जो बनाता है इसको तो incentives देगा, नहीं तो लैंड देगा, ऐसा बहुत कुछ स्कीम्स है इसके. देन modified special incentive package schemes. Then electronic manufacturing clusters helps the companies build world-class infrastructure. For electronic industries के लिए world-class industrial infrastructure बनाने के लिए yes support है. Then विशेषरैया PhD the scheme है, PhD scheme है, क्या है? Innovative technologies electronic industry में लेके आने से, if we are giving a proposal, the government will pay for our PhD. So there will be innovations will happen. That is Vishesharaya, one of the engineer hai, when we studied about the steel industry, we have gone through Vishesharaya iron and steel industries in Mysore region में we have discussed that. So Vishesharaya PhD ऐसा बहुत कुछ schemes है that is being initiated by government of India. Now we can go to the global market. In global market, we know global market में like the India, this is also a recent growth. 1950 के बाद ही this electronic industry का boom हो गया है. Not only in India but most of the world. The global electronic products market reached a value of $1,191.2 billion प्रोडक्शन है, तो उतना ज्यादा है. इसे कन्वर्ट करने से इंडियन रुपया में कन्वर्ट करने 80,000 बिलियन डॉलर का सामने 80 नहीं 85-90,000 बिलियन डॉलर प्रोडक्शन है 2020 ओनली. Almost 5.4% increase during 2015, and it's India's contribution. If you look, it's only 3.6% है. तो बोलने में बहुत कम है India's contribution. लेकिन सबसे ज्यादा, as we know, China plays a vital role. जो भी मोबाइल फोन हो, जो भी कंप्यूटर हो, जो भी हो, if you look, most of them is made in China. So China is contributing very much. So largest contributor on the world scale is from Asia Pacific region. Asia Pacific region. I will show you what are the Asia Pacific region. Account for about 49.4% of the total electronic production during 2020. It is being followed by North America, then Western Europe, then other regions. ऐसा है. सबसे ज्यादा है Asia Pacific region. If you look at this, you can understand Asia Pacific region includes सबसे ज्यादा China, followed by, so Asia Pacific means Pacific Ocean का, अभी Pacific Ocean ऐसा है तो इसी region, this region. It includes China, Australia, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam. So these are the dominating countries in Asia Pacific. And second largest electronic industry in North America include Canada, Mexico, and USA. Then South America में Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Peru and Venezuela. Then Western Europe में Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy to UK. So पूरा almost every country because that is developed country है. Then Eastern Europe, Poland, Romania, Czech Republic and Russia. Middle East comprising Saudi Arabia, Israel, Turkey and UAE, Africa, Egypt, Nigeria and South Africa. So the Africa में बहुत कम है, even though there are multiple states, nations, only some nations have these electronic industries, dominating electronic industries. So this is how it is being distributed. So growth and challenges on a global scale, if you look, growth in historic period result in the rise of disposable income, increased popularity of audio, video broadcasting, increasing internet penetration, low interest rate environment, high investment, and increasing usage of television. So these are some of the factors. तो हमारा तो concept ही change हो गया है. पहले we are mostly depend newspaper ऐसा कुछ चीज में dependable था, but अभी टाइम नहीं है. We have lot of work, so we जो news सुनता read करता था, that is being converted to audio or video. YouTube में देख सकता है, ये तो सुन सकते हैं, रेडियो से सुन सकता है. So increasing this audio and video broadcasting में we have started more dependent. Same in India as well. And later, next one is the usage of television, use of television. Then ये जो purchase करने के लिए government has given loans, loan देना कर दिया, low interest rate का loan देना शुरू किया है. तो वो भी another positive side है. साथ में है internet penetration. तो इंटरनेट हमारे लाइफ में, तो पहले वी नो हाई प्राइस था, लो इंटरनेट दिया था, केबी 1 KB 10 KB 1 MB ऐसा था. अभी टू मिनिमम वी आर यूजिंग 1.5 GB पर डे. तो ऐसा इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन इन आवर डे टू डे लाइफ, दैट हेल्प द ग्रोथ ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंडस्ट्री. सेकंड वन इज ग्रोइंग फॉरवर्ड. तो ये तो है हो गया smart cities, development of smart cities, innovations in electronic products like 4G हो गया, 5G हो गया. तो इंटरनेट पहले था, वो डेवलपमेंट हो गया डे टू डे. देन वायरलेस ऑडियो डिवाइस, स्मार्ट टीवीज, these are the recent जो हमको recently available होता है. I am sitting in a room and taking class to some you people who are sitting somewhere else. तो कोरोना पीरियड, that made कोरोना पीरियड में क्या हो, a tremendous increase in the electronic usage. उतना ज़्यादा हो गया है. Without in contact, we can communicate easily. So dependency ज़्यादा कर दिया this electronic instruments. And there are certain negative factors. One is volatile material price. तो वो volatile metal price है. ये जो बनाने का metal का price. So if you look in the early computer बहुत hard था, बहुत कुछ iron content था. अभी का तो उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है. We have changed a lot. And change in the consumer preference. ऐसा है, पहले छोटा मोबाइल फोन था, तो just when we are अभी कंपनी सोचा हाँ ये तो ठीक है, ये करेगा, तो साथ में नया अभी just like Nokia. The early time Nokia was the dominating mobile service provider. तो क्या हो गया, जल्दी लोगों का प्रेफरेंस चेंज हो गया है, फ्रॉम लोकल मोबाइल फोन्स टू एंड्रॉइड सिस्टम. सो मूव टू सैमसंग. अभी वी आर मूविंग टू रेडमी. सो लोकल प्रेफरेंस, चेंज इन द प्रेफरेंस. देन राइजिंग कॉस्ट एंड स्टोरेजेस इन द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंपोनेंट सप्लाई. So these are some of the negatives. And in recent time क्या हो गया, shortage in semiconductors, challenging regulations and corona pandemic periods का जो hindrance है. So all these factors. Recently वही है, semiconductors. We have, even though we are producing in India, main problem India का यही है, semiconductors. Semiconductors is required. तो छोटा छोटा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक चीज बनाने के लिए semiconductors तो required है, chipset का जरूरी है. So we are depending on import. So these are some of the challenges that is being facing in India in the globe recently. So that's it for the electronic industries. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंडस्ट्री से क्वेश्चन पूछना उतना ज्यादा पूछने का चांसेस कम है, लेकिन कीप ऑल दिस इन माइंड. If you have any doubt, you can ask. अब का आवाज तो उतना नहीं आ रहा है. चैट बॉक्स में मैसेज डाल सकता है क्या? ये जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का इंडस्ट्री में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्रीज, वो अच्छा से पढ़ना है. एंड आफ्टर आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री डायरेक्ट कॉटन इंडस्ट्री है दूसरा. then after that only you want to move to petrochemical industry and this हाँ वो तो सेंड करेगा. फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास असली में वी वांट टू टेक द मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट है, लेकिन वी विल डिस्कस दैट लेटर ऑन. प्रीवियस क्लास नहीं दिया क्या? ओके ओके श्योर श्योर आई विल. तो नेक्स्ट क्लास वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट दिस सोइल, क्योंकि वी वांट टू स्टडी अबाउट द मोड एंड मीन्स ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑन लेटर यूनिट्स एज वेल. So we can skip for now and we can take later. So soil is one of the important portion. So next class we will cover that area. Okay, I will share it. Share that now. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.